the time that we have today, what is the most important thing that you and I should be talking about in terms of this lesson that I'm going to observe?
I think maybe how to deliver the instruction to the students, in a sense that how to exactly break down what I really want them to do. That's where I'm.
So what is it that you really want them to do?
So basically,
Or learn.
the focus is the cycling of water through the Earth systems driven by the energy of the sun and the gravity. So that is the water cycle, and I wanna have them create the water cycle, as in each student has a job, and they need to arrange themselves into this cycle. Without me telling them first this and then this, because they already have an idea, a concept of what the water cycle is. So
when
more
did
like
they get that idea?
We've been talking about the properties of water and how humans impact the water cycle.
Oh, so you already exposed them to it. Okay.
Yes.
And so you want it to be kind of like a discovery-based activity?
Yes. Because all of them have made a comment that, oh yeah, we know the water cycle, but I don't want to tell them or teach them. I want them to discover it.
Okay, so what do you want me to watch for when you're doing this?
Maybe like student engagement.
Okay, I think that's a good one. Because I can see how an individual kid could get lost in this, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll look to see in terms of that. I'm sure they'll be totally engaged. Maybe they're not necessarily student engagement, but are they capturing the concept that you're wanting them to?
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to look for more like understanding, maybe. Because I'm sure they're going to be engaged. But I'll look at engagement too. And how are you going to assess their understanding? Once they've put it together, are you going to give them, how much time do they have to do this?
I was thinking about anywhere from 15 minutes, give or take, depending on how I see them. And how am I going to assess them? Mm-hmm. Once they've arranged themselves and we've compared both cycles, because there's going to be two groups in the class, we're going to compare them and see how similar they are, or if there's something misplaced, where could we put it? And they are going to be assessed by them drawing or writing their own cycle instead of me just giving them a generic one.
Each student?
Each student's going to have just basically a plain piece of paper and materials available for them to recreate their understanding of how they were arranged, mm-hmm. and how we discussed how the cycles were similar. You are going to dialogue with your classmates to make sure and compare your answers. Okay? Your answers don't have to be exactly the same, because we could have used different methods to find the information. If you use
so it's like say you go to class and you need water in class and you need water. It's like you know and then twice
where they absorb the water.
They absorb it from the roots. From the roots.
Are they like sitting down?
I'm going to give you a card. You're only going to write on one side. guys you choose, okay? Only on one side. And you are going to come up with several things, okay? You are going to come up with a definition of what you guys think is the cycle, and you need to give me some examples to make sure that we are clear, okay? They don't have to be science examples, they could be anything that you think is a cycle. So we need several things. One, a common definition between your group. Two, you need different examples. As soon as you get your card, you can start. You're going to have 3 minutes to complete.
It's something where you start off with a cycle, and then it grows, and then it grows, and then it dies, and then it videotape.
So that's an example.
Yeah.
Okay. So the life cycle?
There's the life cycle, and then cycles are like when something becomes something else, and then that becomes something else, and then that becomes something else, and then
You are going to be working together with your group members to organize a cycle. Okay? This is what you are getting. Okay? The purpose of that activity is to be able to describe your cycle. Okay? And you are going to have understanding of how water gets recycled on Earth system, through the Earth system. Okay? Your cycle. Okay? So you have to organize and put together in everyone's cycle in your project. You need to show oceans, lakes, rivers, springs. You need a highland. You need lowland. You need underground. You need plants, trees, clouds, and droplets. Okay? You can decide how you're going to put this together, but these are things that I have to see when I look at your presentation.
what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Ooh, what do I do? Oh, okay. Transpiration, and then the condensation of the clouds. And should we put the ocean and lowland? Like, we should put it right here. It's not gonna block it. No, we can put that right here. Right here. Because the condensation, we can put the condensation. Well, since it's like a cloud, we can put that cloud. Condensation. Here.
So what is it that you guys need to do to get all that going?
On top of this, we're gonna have a mountain.
So let's get the mountain going. Daniel, grab a pencil so you can get the mountain going.
This mountain. Well, it says mountain. But I want a mountain so we
So
can
then what do you have over there?
this part. We have a TV.
You have a TV? Yeah.
You want me to draw the mountain?
Can we use what you guys have done already? Can you guys use what you guys have done?
Okay. So now that you have watched part of clips from the my video footage of the class, what are your thoughts on what you saw?
That there's a lot of stuff I don't see or I'm not aware.
Okay, no, hold on. What went well? What went well?
What went well? I think in general, the final product, them working together, them understanding how water gets recycled, that went well.
So what was supposed to happen?
Yeah. So they accomplished the purpose of understanding how water gets recycled through them organizing their own material and also organizing who was doing what and then putting it together. They fulfill like all the requirements.
No, I thought you were really good with clear expectations on each of the different parts. The only part that I felt like was kind of long was that part in the activity. But like your beginning of your class, you had your purpose, you had your homework, turn it in, da da da. Okay, now we're gonna do this, da 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 da. Very clear, and everything was connected to, like, all of the assignments were connected to that project.
Mm-hmm.
And leading, and then you let them know this is leading up to this project that we're going to be doing. Now we're going to talk about what is a cycle, so you guys know everybody has prior knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you were very clear, and you had used good vocabulary too with them in terms of academic language. What did you see in the video that, in terms of student engagement, because that's what we were looking at? Do you feel like you were successful in
I feel
keeping the kids engaged?
yes, even though the class that did not have success in completing their cycle, their project, they were still engaged. They were still working. They were all there. It was just.
Were they having conversations? Because I know in the other classes that the class that I observed, every group was having dialogue about where each part of the cycle should go and why. I heard a lot of back and forth dialogue. Was that happening with that class, or was that class more focused on like aesthetics of the project?
I think so. They were having conversations, but not as a group. More as in like, I have to do this. Do you think this is right?
Mm-hmm.
But not as in like, does my part and your part go together?
Mm-hmm.
They were very focused on their part, not our part.
Mm-hmm.
I feel they need a lot of more guidance and modeling from my part, so they know the expectation. As if we're partners, this is how we talk and this is how we decide.
In terms of teacher talk, how do you think that went?
I think it went well in general. I did notice that in your video, I think it took me like 4 minutes, give or take, to give them the instructions.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like, now that I reflect, maybe they could have just read the instructions and requirements on their own. But then I didn't
Maybe not.
like, I didn't realize I took 4 minutes. But in general, I mean, it wasn't.
Which doesn't seem like that long. I mean, 4 minutes is pretty short for a teacher to be talking, and then the rest of the time it's all student group work. But I did see kids some kids were listening and looking at you, and some kids were flirting with each other, some kids were passing notes, some kids were doing other things, and I think they were just waiting to get started.
I think so.
That's what
too.
I saw. Like, oh, we're gonna do a project. Okay. So I don't know, like maybe you do next time. Let's say you do just give them, your task is to put together a cycle. Everything on this paper is what you need in that. So make sure you follow this. Go.
Mm-hmm.
And then see. And maybe it'll fail miserably, but maybe too, you start them and then you see issues and then, okay, we're gonna stop.
Yeah.
Did you notice that it says that you have to, like,
Yeah, that's what
instead
I
of
was
it all
thinking.
blah 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 on the front?
Right. Because I think they could have done it themselves.
Some of them probably could have, like that 6th period class probably
Yeah.
could have just, you need to come up with this. You're working as a team. Go, and I'm sure they would have.
Yeah, I'm sure they would have too.